Welcome back to the DLLS Mavs podcast. Of course, your host, Kevin Gray, alongside Mavericks beat writer Tim Cato, our national NBA insider, Mark Stein. We are joined here. We are at Westgate Sportsbook in Las Vegas. We are joined by the VP of Risk Management here at Westgate Sportsbook, Jeff Sherman, good enough to join us here. Jeff, tell us what you do here, how you do it in this beautiful Superbook here at Westgate, and what your day-to-day responsibilities entail here.
It's managing the odds, the wagers that come in, setting the lines, just everything that goes into the bookmaking aspect of it. So, we do a lot of odds making here. We're an independent book, not tied into anybody else. So the NBA stuff, we just put up our NBA season wins yesterday, and obviously we can see what's on the market, but we put our own opinion in. So we have numbers that differ. So it's, you're going to find unique offerings here at the Superbook.
I've always thought of Vegas as, Vegas said this, Vegas said that. It's so weird to me to actually talk to the man behind, these odds. Like, how, when you look at a team, what is that opinion that you're looking for? What opinion are you putting into it? How, what's that process like for you?
Well, I've been doing this for 30 years now, so it's a lot of growth. But what we try to do is basically split people's perception. All the numbers that you see and the probabilities we come up with are perception-based. So if we put something up and we're attracting action just on one side, nothing on the other side, that creates large liabilities. So we're trying to manage the liabilities and split people's perception, really.
I feel like over-under win totals drives podcast content for zillions of NBA podcasts. Like, do you look forward to the over-under portion of the season as much as we do? We did a whole thing on this on Saturday's postgame show. You got the Mavs at an over-under of 41.5. So walk us through the whole over-under game, but also we got to talk Mavs too. We got to hear how you got to Dirk Nowitzki and a half.
This is one of my favorite things to do, is the NBA season win totals. And for years, I would be the first one up with it until there's now a national marketplace. And, we used to put these out in early August. Now they're coming out in July, like right after a lot of the free agency changes. So things keep getting out earlier and earlier now. But, we basically talking with the Mavericks, they're one of the ones that we had more of a challenge with because of the Kyrie Irving injury. And you'll find that in most of them, the more challenging ones were with the unknown, with uncertainty, and with injuries. So, but the one thing is, when we're evaluating that, we look at the pieces they add, obviously D'Angelo Russell as a short-term fill-in, and see how they can manage until they can get through that. So we don't want to make too much of an adjustment based on guys being out if they have some competent support system within. So this team started out a little bit less on the market the last week. We felt it was a little bit too light. They have enough pieces in place that they can get through it, short term. And I know sometimes these ACLs can go longer than expected, but, especially if they can grow into the second half, we thought that they're easily a 500 team based on our perception. And we think this number is going to keep driving up on the marketplace to either reach us or even pass us.
Dallas, at least, they expect or believe that Kyrie is going to be coming back this season. Boston and Indiana, these are teams that are going to go an entire year without their best player, and we don't have tape. We haven't seen what Boston looks like for an entire season without Jason Tatum. Are those even trickier? Like, what's the trickiest? Does that at least offer a little bit more consistency that you're just evaluating a roster with hopeful certainty that at least the healthy players are going to stay healthy? Or what's the trickiest circumstance for you to try to gauge?
Right, with that example, there's more certainty for us with that. Like Tyrese Halliburton, they came out and said he's going to miss the entire season, so we can go ahead and make that number based on that. And we keep moving the numbers, trying to find the action if we're not getting it. Like the Celtics, which you just mentioned, they're up to believe I'm at 70-1 for the title now, and nobody's betting them because a lot of people don't like the moves that they didn't make in the offseason, the ones that they got away from. So we keep having to raise them until we find it. Same thing with the Pacers. The funny thing with the Pacers, when Halliburton got injured that night, and that's not the funny part, but about an hour after the game ended, I went 40-1 on them with uncertainty of, was it actually going to be the Achilles? But I assumed it was, so I went 40-1 for the title. We saw wagers come in right away on him at 40-1 because we were different than the marketplace.
Wow. Oh.
Once it came out that he was announced out for the season, I'm up to 125-1 now, and I can't write a bet. So, it's a whole game of cat and mouse to see where you can get the money at. And, if we're not seeing it, we keep raising the odds until we can attract some support on them.
What's the most difficult portion of your job when you're working off perception, you're working off of information when you see about the teams and everything that comes in? How are you digesting and processing that information in order to get yourself in the best position to put out the kinds of odds that we're seeing when it comes to either win totals or over-unders when it comes to especially the NBA as we're talking here?
Well, one of the most challenging things is keeping up on Twitter or X and keeping up on that information because everything in this business is information-based.
Mm-hmm.
So if we find something that's breaking news, let's just say Giannis did get traded. There's going to be a race to that information, and we have many markets that we would have to adjust on something like that. The division, the season win total, the title odds. There's a lot of things that go into it that you can't just hit one segment because everyone's going to be racing to bet another one. So, you have to have that mentality of covering all your bases with it. But it's really keeping up on the social media aspect of it to get that information. And we try to be quicker than the bettors coming in on it because now everything is app-based. You don't have to come into the book to bet like you did, 8 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
So, people have it at their fingertips to be able to get instantaneous information and bets in on it.
So how many sports are you responsible for?
Well, I take the lead in NBA, in golf, and soccer, and then I have my hands in, we all do collectively in like other major ones like NFL. We have lead baseball individuals, college individuals, things like that. But myself, I'm the lead one in NBA, golf, and soccer, and NBA and golf are really my passions. So
I don't want to alarm you, but obviously we're doing this interview. We're not looking at our phones. What happens if something happens right now and you're not back at your desk for 10 minutes?
What if Mark Stein just posted a tweet that changes the landscape of the NBA?
Is someone else helping you monitor this stuff? Because one person cannot monitor NBA Twitter.
Oh, there's no doubt. And, you can see it by the bettors, too. If, we take a bet on the ticker and you see like a team or let's say a couple people jump in on a team, you might suspect something happening. And the guys in the back can go ahead. And if I'm not involved or another guy that helps me with the NBA is not involved, we just tell them just go ahead and lower the odds. And then I can make adjustments when I have time to get to it. So, a few minutes. And sometimes, I'll give you one story. Last week, I was on the drive home, and that's when Porzingis got traded. And we started seeing bets on the Hawks to win the Eastern Conference. And so they were sending me the bets. I'm like, okay, just cut the odds in half until I can get home and work through it. And as I lower them, I have to bump other teams up because we reach a certain hold percentage to keep the odds fair. So, we'll go ahead and take proactive action like that and lower them until I can get settled into it.
Do all these totals add up to the total amount of wins that's going to be in the NBA next season, or is it adjusted based off just where the lines are, where the market is?
Well, we have that target to get right there,
right.
But the public has a tendency to bet overs.
Right.
They like to bet that, so sometimes you might see it exceed that number by a little bit just because
that
of the type
sense.
of action that we get.
That makes sense.
I'm interested in the social media aspect of it because you talked about trying to monitor the amount of information that you're trying to process in order to have this, taken care of on a daily basis. How has that changed the way that you do your job over the years, especially with how quickly information can be disseminated given what social media is now these days?
Well, it's a 24/7 thing that we're dealing with here. You know, right now our app does have some downtime where we're closed. So if we get something, we just have to make sure we adjust in the morning before we open up. But it's really, I'll get something. I still remember when Kawhi Leonard got traded to the Clippers, and it was on a Friday night after 9 o'clock Pacific time. And I'm sitting there hanging out with my daughter, and, I get that stuff, and all of a sudden I have to make all these panic moves really quickly and text people and say, we got to adjust this. So, it's there's no downtime in it for us. It's 24/7, and, it's a real challenge because of that.
What's the goofiest or silliest or funniest prop bet you have ever seen or been involved in?
Well, I mean, we have some gaming regulations here that some of the stuff that you've heard of offshore, like national anthem or things like that we have to take bets on the field of play here. So we just try to come up with, like, you'll find those in our Super Bowl packet where we have, 35 pages of over 1,000 props. And sometimes it's cross-sport ones where we try to tie in. I tried to tie in when the Chiefs played last year, not this past one, the one before, but Travis Kelce to like Taylor Swift or something like that. So, you just try to get creative and interesting from that perspective, and but we have to do it within certain parameters for the gaming regulations.
This week, all of us were sure that LeBron would be courtside for Cooper Flagg's first game, and he wasn't. But that's not something you can bet on here. Is he going to sit courtside? But I guess there probably are places in the world that people do that.
There are, and sometimes I get asked about what would the odds be, hypothetically, and I can say this is like, not bettable odds, but this is what I would make it on something like that. But yeah, we can't offer something. It has to be on the field of play for us.
Probably good for your sanity. I don't think
a little bit. Yeah, I can decline some if they get too outlandish. So
Sure. Now you say you take the lead when it comes to the NBA and golf. Where does your love for the NBA come from? Your love of basketball come from, and why that drives you in terms of what you do here?
Well, I grew up in LA in the '80s, so that was Magic, Kareem, Lakers, and so when I was young, I got interested in that and played. And when I was at UC Santa Barbara my sophomore year, I actually tried out for the team. Got cut in the first cuts, but I gave it a shot.
Yeah.
So
Coach Pim didn't know what he had.
No, he didn't, and he was there at the time. But it was I've just always loved the sport. And when I graduated from UC Santa Barbara, I moved out here, happened to just get a job in race and sports industry, and it's just grown on me over the years. And I love the challenges of it because I'm taking initially our perception when I place these odds and putting it out there for the public, perception to see how they'll take to it. And obviously you have a lot more perception out there than what we have in the back room. So that's where you'll find some differences. So hopefully we make sharp enough lines to cover everybody out there. But I love the challenge of it.
Well,
I love coming up with the numbers and just seeing how people react to it.
Sure.
So Mavs 41.5. More people are betting the over at this point.
With us, because we're different, we're actually getting under bets because on the marketplace there's 39.5 and 40.5 out there. So us being a little bit different will induce some wagers. So if we have opinions, and we put opinions in a few of these, and one of the guys that I work with that does the NBA with me, he's from Philadelphia, a big Sixer fan, and he thought the 43.5 on the Sixers on the marketplace was a really poor number out there. But obviously it's predicated on Embiid's health. But he thinks that they can go over that number even without Embiid. So we're a little bit higher on the Sixers than what is out there, and we're willing to take a position on it.
And so if we got a bulletin today with specifics about Kyrie that said he was going to be back at this time, you will change that number immediately.
Sure. Oh, absolutely. If we can find certainty and definitiveness behind it, then, it helps in our process.
Well, back in the day, I had money on you making the team, so Coach Pim disappointed us both.
It was fun to try out for it. So.
Well, Jeff, this was tremendous. Tell the folks so they can find you on social media, and obviously the work that you do here as a VP of Risk Management here at Westgate Sportsbook, how they can find you there.
Yeah, I'm at Golf Odds on social media, and because of my long time of doing that in this business, that was my number one thing. And I even have my own website from that. But at Golf Odds, and I put out all the NBA content. I just tweeted out the NBA wins when we got them up, and anything NBA related. So, we put up summer league odds, and when I had those, I got them out there. So anything NBA related, I'll keep passing along on that avenue.
Awesome. Well, Jeff, thank you so much for your time with us here on the DLLS Mavs podcast. Keep up the tremendous work here at Westgate Superbook, and we look forward to having you on next time here on the DLLS Mavs podcast. Thank you so much.
Absolutely.
Thanks for hosting us. It's been great.
Yeah, thanks for having me on.
Appreciate it.